get in front of the computer and do the next slide thingy. I want you to know what a big deal it is for me to be addressing this crowd tonight. Can you hear me? How about, does this come out? The rain in Spain falls mainly in the plain. The rain in Spain falls mainly. It's such a big deal for me to be here tonight that, and I mentioned this to my husband as we were getting dressed, it's not every group of people I put a girdle on for. Not everybody is girdle worthy, but you folks are. If we could take away the piece of paper, I'm going to be talking about our boy Doug and why I love him and why you should too. And I'm used to having a microphone I can walk around with because Doug is somebody who just never stood still. And in fact, when we talk about Douglas Fairbanks, we tend to think of him as being constantly in motion, constantly the action hero. And so I thought the first thing I would show you tonight is, in fact, the grace with which Douglas Fairbanks could be still, the grace with which he could do some simple, non-heroic gestures, such as kind of looking around and lighting a cigarette. And so if you would give me the next slide and hit play, you're going to see what Doug Fairbanks looks like at rest. Only Doug can make lighting a cigarette look so cool. Made me want to take up smoking as an adolescent. Next slide, please. But Doug is not known for being still. No, thank you. He's known for being in action. And what I'm going to show you here is some relatively rare footage. It was from his first swashbuckling appearance, which was 3 years before he made the Martha Sorrow. He put a little comic flashback fantasy sequence in a movie called The Modern Musketeer. He comes up to the camera dressed as D'Artagnan, and if you can read his lips, he shows his curls in the way and says, "Yep, it's me." And then there's this little sequence with D'Artagnan. Watch how he fences. Watch, typically in a movie, they will have sort of, blow, parry, counter blow, and then they cut because the actors are not competent enough to do more than that in a single shot without cutting each other. Doug's ability to fence and to do more than that, he actually fights with furniture. And he fights with furniture in the most creative and imaginative way. It's just a joy to watch it. So Katie, would you hit play, please? You're going to see. This runs for a little bit, but this is Doug in action. It's me. By the way, that film was lost for decades. It was only found about 10 years ago. This is the easiest talk in the world to give because, come on, Doug's carrying the load. This is the easiest talk in the world to give because Doug is carrying the load. In fact, if you've ever seen The Prisoner of Zenda on Turner Classic Movies, Ronald Coleman duels with Douglas Fairbanks Jr., Doug's son, and throws a chair at him, at which point Doug Jr. says, "Who fights with furniture?" And of course, in 1935, that was an inside joke that everybody in the industry understood. But nowadays, people don't get it because they haven't seen Doug. Go to the next slide. Oh, you're right there. I want to show you, now that you've seen, and it was a sustained segment, but I wanted you to see a real Doug Fairbanks sword fight. To understand how he was the real thing. He really did those stunts. He designed them, he choreographed them, and your standard hero movie star is honest to Pete. He makes them all look sick. They're a pale substitute. And I'm gonna annoy a lot of people by using Rudolph Valentino as my example. But after you've seen Doug duel, now watch how Rudy does it. Katie, would you play, please? Both characters are Valentino's father and son in a split screen performance. That is not sword play, that's an arm exercise for old ladies who need their upper arm strengthened. Next slide, please, Kate. So, let's talk about how Doug Fairbanks, although ostensibly forgotten, is still with us today. Both Batman and Superman were based on Douglas Fairbanks, the teenage boys that drew them for their cartoon jobs. Based them. I'm Doug. Ditto the Jolly Green Giant. Next slide. when we settle in every year and watch the Academy Awards, we're seeing them in part because Douglas Fairbanks co-founded the Academy of Arts and Sciences. Next slide. Okay, hold this here. You saw Ramon Navarro earlier today. Charming guy, right? Look at his coloring. This is the color, that pale skin that was considered desirable in the centuries leading up to the 1920s. You were, if you were wealthy, you stayed outside. If you were poor, you were working in the fields. Douglas Fairbanks created the tanning craze in the 1920s because Douglas Fairbanks was out there on his horse. He was running around. He was tanning. Go to the next slide, please. Now, honestly, which one would you want to do? Gay or straight? I don't care. I want the guy in the middle. I mean, that's sexy. That looks natural. Suddenly everybody else looks painted. And Ramon Navarro was of Mexican heritage, you know. Oh, next slide. Okay, so now we're a bunch of tan people with superheroes. Why do we think of Beverly Hills as the location where the rich and famous live? Beverly Hills was just a scrubby, nobody wanted to be there, suburb full of coyotes and snakes of Hollywood. Until Douglas Fairbanks bought a hunting lodge up there in 1919, built and expanded upon it, and in 1920 gave it to his bride, Mary Pickford. Next slide. There is the original pig fair. There's an aerial view of it. It was expanded again in 1932 for the Olympics. Next slide. And you can see by 1926, everybody wants to be in Beverly Hills. Charlie Chaplin wanted to be by his best friend, Douglas Fairbanks. So he went to the building people in his studio and he said, I bought a lot, build me a house. And so then Charlie Chaplin's living next to Douglas Fairbanks, and Harold Lloyd builds Green Acres, and Beverly Hills is suddenly the place to be. And if he had lived in, I don't know, Cucamonga, it would have been Cucamonga 90210, but Beverly Hills. Next slide. Okay. When we see movies like Gone with the Wind or The Wizard of Oz today, we may not realize it, but we're seeing movies that were directed by Victor Fleming. Victor Fleming was originally a bike mechanic, and then he liked to tinker with things, a cameraman. And he was Douglas Fairbanks' cameraman. And Douglas Fairbanks always gave youngsters opportunities to climb up the ladder. And Victor Fleming got his first directing jobs from Douglas Fairbanks. Next slide. And when we see those movies in that lush, plummy Technicolor, it's because Douglas Fairbanks saved the Technicolor Corporation from failure, from closing down. Technicolor was not necessarily successful. When it first came out, it was 2 strips, it was not a full spectrum of color, and audiences were very concerned that watching color films would strain their eyes, and there was a real bias against color in films. Apart from the tinting and toning that already existed. And so grand films like Ben-Hur would have little tiny colored sequences in them, but not the whole film. Technicolor desperately needed a major star or producer to adopt this technology and make a film of it. They made a demonstration film, and a very minor Western had been made in the process, but otherwise it just wasn't happening for him until Douglas Fairbanks made The Black Pirate. Next slide. And there he is I love it. On the posters they made her dress red, but in fact her dress was green. These colors are very muted, in part because Doug knew he was working with a limited palette. There weren't blues or bright yellows. We had greens, browns, and red. Also, he wanted it to look like an old engraving. And he hired Billy Dove, who was a Ziegfeld beauty, because she had been in the prior Technicolor Western, Wanderers of the Wasteland. And it was very rare for Doug to kiss his leading lady on screen. He would do anything to avoid a romantic scene, including a lot of fencing. He would hide under a basket, he would hold up a handkerchief, all kinds of comic reasons not to see him kiss the heroine. But at the end of The Black Pirate, he gives the heroine a big smooch, and that's because it's Mary Pickford in the costume and the wig. It was, again, another inside joke. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. I'm like, oh, of course that's Mary. But you're trained, you're thinking it's going to be Billy Dove, and you're so busy kissing her, you're not looking at her face very carefully. And there's some beautiful Technicolor footage at the George Eastman Museum that was taken on the set of Mary in that dress and wig the day that they filmed it. It's so gorgeous. When it was screened in San Francisco, the audience as a whole just gasped. It was so beautiful. Okay, next. Oh, what influence does he have? Anybody here into Harry Potter or have children or grandchildren? When you see those giant spiders in Harry Potter, where did that come from? It came because Douglas Fairbanks fought a giant spider in The Thief of Baghdad. There weren't giant spiders in the movies before Doug had giant scary spiders. Next slide. And where about the dragons? Everybody's crazy about Game of Thrones. Is it the nudity? Yeah, maybe, but it's also the dragons. And Douglas Fairbanks, again, he was fighting a dragon. He brought fantasy to motion picture screens. He invented the swashbuckler. Costume pictures were not successful until the Marquis Zorro came out. And in fact, Zorro would be a forgotten character in young readers magazine that had come out as a serial called The Curse of Capistrano, except he picked up the character and made a movie out of it. Next slide. Okay. This is Doug and his brother. Doug is on the right. He's the little serious one with a pumpkin head. They were born in Colorado. Mom had two prior husbands. Dad had a wife and daughters from a prior marriage that he never quite got around to divorcing when he got Doug's mom pregnant with Robert, the boy on the left. And he abandoned his family and took Doug's mother out to Colorado. A couple of years later, Doug was born. And by the time Doug is 5, Dad takes a powder and abandons the family. And in fact, before Dad's done, he's got a whole other family, so he's not just a bigamist, he's a trigamist. And that's okay, because I'm not sure Doug's mom ever really got a divorce from the second husband. No clear evidence of that. So,
Wow.
This is not the most respectable of starts. And while he sold the story of this wonderful upper middle class upbringing in Denver, in fact, it was a hand-to-mouth existence for that family. Next slide. But still, Doug was the world's most cheerful show-off, a narcissist, and he just had to love it. And so he started in local theater, children's acting, worked his way up for 2 years, touring the country with a Shakespearean actor, where he started out being kind of the guy in the crowd holding the spear. And he claims his first line was from Richard III, where it was, "Hold, sir, and let the coffin pass." And he practiced and practiced it. It was his only line. And when the time came, he said, "Hold, sir, and let the parson cough." But I think it's apocryphal. I think it's such a good story. But both he and Frederick Ward, the elderly Shakespearean actor, did tell the story in later years. From there, after just 2 years touring the country, he approached Broadway. He's still a teenager, but he is so natural, so fun, and so good that he became a leading man. He spent about the first 8 years on Broadway as the heroine's life of the younger brother, and then migrated to authentic stardom. And if you look at him in this picture, that picture could be taken in 2020. That is not a stiff Victorian or Edwardian guy. This is the most natural looking person. He's got that open collar. I don't think he's wearing socks. I mean, the charisma is just oozing out of him. And if you look at the theatrical photographs of the time, everybody else is like this, and Doug's just loose and natural and charming, and it was impossible not to love him. And now you guys are capable of reading. Did the people in the back, were you able to read those slides? Okay, if not, I'll read them to you. Next slide. In 1908, he decided he wanted to marry a young woman by the name of Beth Sully. Beth was the daughter of the current cotton king. You know, there were copper kings and diamond kings. You know, people would corner the market, and Daniel Sully had cornered the market on cotton. And he said, well, I can't have my daughter marry a actor. You have to come and you have to work in my soap factory. And it was one of the treasures of my research was when I found 4 pictures of him in that soap factory. Because with Doug, you're never sure whether the story is apocryphal or not. But he had written a letter to a man in the mid-20s who was from the soap factory, and you go, yes, I remember those times, and the letter and the pictures had been saved and turned up in Atlanta, where a guy held me up for them. Because, I mean, look at that. It's Doug working in a soap factory. It's unbelievable, but within 3 months, the Cotton King had lost his corner on cotton and was in financial trouble, and Doug's back on stage on Broadway. And by 1950, movies are starting to take over. They've become respectable. Feature films are now a thing. D.W. Griffith's The Birth of a Nation has proven that you can charge Broadway rates $2 a seat for a movie theater ticket. And it's cheaper to run a projector and a movie on the screen than it is to pay a cast of actors night in, night out. And so the Liberty Theater, where Doug had appeared in plays as late as 1914, by 1915 is showing The Birth of a Nation. And seats that were, $1 seats and 50-cent seats when it was a Broadway theater are selling at $2 rates, month in, month out, for The Birth of a Nation. And Harry Aiken, who was running Mutual, who financed Birth of a Nation, said, great, movies are now respectable, I want to bring in Broadway stars. And Broadway stars he did bring in, most of whom were stiff as could be, who were histrionic, who acted to the back rafters, who were uncomfortable in front of a camera. And the only real success of this movement, this Broadway to film migration, was young Douglas Fairbanks. And the next slide is a little clip of a movie that I'm going to show, because the next step is he goes into the movies. And this is from his last silent, non-swashbuckling film. If you've never seen it, I beg the festival to show it some year. It's called The Nut. It is very, very funny. And at the end of the movie, he has pretty much saved the day, and he and the heroine are in court. They're going to get married. And suddenly Doug looks out the window and sees the bad guy who had gotten away. And I just want you to understand what kind of a hero our hero is, so that when at one point he chases the villain into a theater, watch and see what he does. Katie, could you play? It's very quick. It proves though that you have to watch silent movies very carefully, because if you had just looked away for a minute, you would have missed that too, please. Our hero not only pays to go into the movie theater, he pays for the bad guy who ran around. And if you've ever seen Blazing Saddles, Mel Brooks pays homage to that, because Harvey Korman runs into the theater to escape, and he stops and he goes, "Excuse me, please." Also, the woman in that shot was Marguerite Dulamont. If you know your Hollywood history very well, you'll know that she was the basis. Her real life story was the story upon which was based A Star is Born. Her husband was the man who committed suicide by walking into the ocean. So whether you've seen the Judy Garland version, the Janet Gaynor version, don't see the Barbra Streisand version, or the talkie version that came out recently that I can't remember with Lady Gaga and handsome young man whose name I've forgotten. But all of that is based on Marguerite Dulamont, who was a successful actress, and her husband became despondent. So if you read The First King of Hollywood, you'll learn a couple of other fun little facts about the nut, including a jump through that window, not the take that was shown, but an earlier jump. He caught his heel and broke his hand. He was injured a lot making these films. In 1920, he married the love of his life, Mary Pickford, and thus began the true celebrity culture in a way that has never been exceeded today, because these films, being silent, were seen internationally, and everybody felt like they knew Doug and Mary and loved Doug and Mary. And the marriage had glorious elements, and it was a phenomenal love story, and then there were tragic elements. It was a real rise and fall, but they were two incredibly intelligent, powerful, thoughtful, creative producers. Not mere, if they're just an actor, it's like Valentina, okay, doing what you're told. These people were a creative business force in the industry, and something really, really to be respected. Pickford, even more than My Boy Doug, I mean, she was the focal point of an entire industry, and a fine business mind. Is there another slide after that, or am I done? The next slide. Oh, yeah, by the way, he invented the swashbuckler, and you're going to get to see this tonight. Robin Hood, yay! Robin Hood was his third swashbuckling feature, the first being the Marco Zorro, which was a gentle dip into the concept. It cost no more than his coat and tie films, because he made coat and tie comedies from 1915 to 1920. In December of 1920, the Marco Zorro comes out. It's a phenomenon. It's a huge success. And then that gives him the courage to really invest as a producer in a major film, and he does The Three Musketeers. After The Three Musketeers, he does Robin Hood. And Robin Hood involved the building of sets that were larger than the sets D.W. Griffith built for Intolerance. They were the largest that were done to